Hello, everyone. Today we're going to discuss a little bit about supports outside of the diet. And we've talked about these a little bit before, but never quite all in one concentrated area. Pardon me, I forgot to take one. It's very sour. Okay. So, we're going to basically touch on why diet alone isn't enough for some people. And we'll start by saying sometimes a diet change is all you need. So, if you're on a standard American diet, if you're mainly plant-based, you will find that adding certain things in and removing certain things can be life-changing. So, if you are on a standard American diet, that's going to be really high refined carbs and really high refined sugar. So, if you add in a lot more meat, a lot more fat, and kind of remove those refined, ultra-processed foods, you're going to see a lot of changes regardless of anything else you do. You're just going to. Now, the confusing part may be, what do I eat? And we can go into that a little bit, although we have other videos that really go in depth with food, but we will touch on it in this one as well. And then if you're mainly plant-based, so if you're a standard American diet, you're going to have insulin resistance. Your hormones are going to be dysregulated, imbalanced. Your nervous system is going to be dysregulated and imbalanced. Your immune system is likely going to be activated, kind of like running under the surface all the time instead of getting a break. And there's a lot of preservatives that are an issue. The refined carbs and the refined sugar themselves are issues. And really, a standard American diet is a high plant-based diet, kind of by accident. So your body can't really handle all the anti-nutrients from all the plants that you're consuming year-round. It's kind of the same foods year-round because that's not the natural way that a human would eat. So if you were to add more meat and add more saturated fat, animal fats primarily, extra virgin olive oil from California and cold pressed coconut oil, not cooked, are both great additions, but you really want to focus on the butter, the ghee, the tallow, and on and on. So you would add in the animal fats, you would add in the protein, and you would step down on those ultra processed foods until you eliminated them completely. And you can do that with sheer willpower if you want to, or we have tools and like copycat foods to help you with that. We have recipes for you available on the Facebook group, Ancestral Regeneration Protocol, where our completely free and in-depth protocol is for you. So you would remove those ultra-processed and high refined sugar, high refined carbohydrate foods. And for some people, that's going to be maybe all you need. Your anxiety will lower. You should have much lower anxiety. You should have hopefully none. You should see wonderful changes in your mental health. You will begin to feel nutrient deficiencies, which will have amazing side effects, especially for your mental health, for your energy. Um, weight loss is not, weight loss is a little bit more complicated. I mean, for generations, we've thought you eat too much, you gain weight. And that's just not exactly how it works. But by changing your food, you could absolutely see weight loss benefits. The thing you're going to deal with is we tend to overeat standard American diet foods because of our microbiome. So we've talked about this before, but I'll go over it really quickly. We should have good microbes, opportunistic microbes, and they should be living in a symbiotic relationship. Kind of one is eating what the other one is producing. And we eat what they produce. So these microbes should produce nutrients for us. They should produce energy for us. Now, when we're talking about pathogens, those guys should not be in the body. We don't want those in the body. The opportunistic should be there. They should just be balanced and they should be where they belong. So when you are addicted to food and you have food cravings, there's kind of one or two things happening there. It's microbial, not one of, or not one or, one and usually. So it's microbial. Those opportunistic and pathogenic microbes are demanding food. And the way they demand is very persuasive. They will make you crave the food. You will feel bad until you get the food. And this also plays into your nervous system because your body has set up a mechanism basically to where that it doesn't feel safe. It feels like it's a life or death situation unless you get that food. And that can go to other addictions too. It's not necessarily, it's not at all that you don't have enough willpower or, you're weak-willed or whatever you may have been told or understood. That's not it at all. There's a very physical thing happening in the body that makes you reach for whatever it is you reach for. And that could be a drink, that could be a donut, that could be a cigarette, whatever. It could be something visual that you're addicted to, something digital you're addicted to, all those things. The food is going to have a microbial component to it. And actually what you watch does in a way as well, but we'll talk about that at another time. And then, so when you're removing these foods, you absolutely can do it through willpower. Absolutely can do it through nervous system work alone. You can also, in another support, you can support the body strategically so that you know that you are no longer feeding those microbes. You know how to work with your body when those cravings hit, when those microbes are dying off and you don't feel well. So that's something we can definitely help you with. We can help you with the nervous system work as well. But those are components that are involved when we're talking about, like, just stop eating the donuts, just stop eating the cereal for breakfast. It's not that easy. There's so much at play that we aren't really taught and we don't really understand. So you want to add in the fat, add in the meat. Yes, you could be. That's only if we need to stay in ketosis. Otherwise, we could they are high oxalate, so I guess we couldn't have as many as we want. We could have more. I love that. Yes, your good microbes will also crave food. That's why it's so good to be strategic about it. But if that's not where you're ready to be, then that's okay. And you can start with just the fat, just the meat, and kind of start cutting out those processed foods. Your next step, I would say, is to be cutting out plants that are high anti-nutrient. The body is meant to eat plants in season and local, and that's just kind of a good way to think about it. Um, but we also eat a lot of things that we consider food that aren't really food for the body, like nightshades. Um, Nightshades don't give us as much benefit as they do cost us our health. So personally, I won't eat a nightshade ever again, ever. So, and I mean, once you've gone through a healing process and you want, cayenne pepper once a year or something on a special dish, that's not the end of the world. But when we're talking about eating, tomatoes all year, potatoes all year, eggplant a few times a year, you're going to get into that is going to affect your health negatively because of the anti-nutrients. And we do go into that much more in another video. So you want to kind of do this in stages. If you don't want to jump into a protocol, there's lots of information out there. We do have it available at no cost. It's very easy to find. It's very easy to access. And it goes week by week. So if you are mainly plant-based, what you're dealing with there is you're dealing with a lack of good fats, a lack of nutrients that only meat can offer you and only animal products can offer you. And you're taking in a lot of anti-nutrients from plants. And so that's kind of a recipe for not feeling your best, definitely. So if you're not ready to eat meat necessarily, we do have a really good vegetarian meal plan. We ask, of course, that you would consider going farther in the future, but you could do that vegetarian meal plan for a while, a long time, and have better health than if you didn't use that model. There is a vegan meal plan on our website. We do not, and it explicitly says this, we do not recommend that for over 3 weeks. It's a very strategic meal plan. Anytime we are only eating plants and zero animal products, our health, unfortunately, will suffer. I completely understand why people do it. And I think it's a beautiful thing to want to love animals and protect them. And you absolutely have that right. Everyone has a right to live and eat how they want to. I just want everyone to have the correct information that we cannot be in optimal health without animal products, without any. We can do at least dairy and eggs and coconut oil and olive oil if we are striving to be vegetarian. And again, that is completely your choice, but let us help you navigate that so that your health can be the very best that it can be without adding in the actual meat and things that cause the death of the animal. It's a good compromise, I believe, for what you believe and what you're looking to preserve and care for. But always consider in the back of your mind, just kind of, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve in this life? There is also a place for those who completely fast from animal products for their entire life, knowing that they are not trying to be healthy. They're only striving for soul goals, we'll say. And so there's saints. There's many stories of saints who eat very little or they eat only plants for a lifetime. And that's a totally different thing. That is not what we're talking about here at all. And again, everyone has a right to do what they want to with their life. And it's a beautiful thing to sacrifice, and it is a beautiful thing to fast. So I'm definitely not including those people in this conversation because that's a completely separate path that they are taking. If you are only doing it because you believe that eating animals is morally wrong, you would want to consider what it takes to live off of vegetables solely, because there are many animal deaths involved in monocropping. Now, if you grow your own vegetables in your own garden, I mean, there is no deathless diet, unfortunately, because plants communicate. Plants have frequency, and they communicate with wildlife and bees, and they have their own, we call it a vegetative soul. There's an animal soul and a vegetative soul. So if you are doing it so that there is no death, then I would want you to just consider that there's really no such thing as a deathless diet. And a vegan diet, the best way to do a vegan diet where you're causing the least amount of harm is to only grow your own vegetables and only eat those, or buy them locally from someone who uses zero pesticides, zero herbicides, and does everything organically. So that was just a little side note. But if your goal is optimal health, and if your goal is chronic illness reversal, then you will want to include animal products in your diet. Okay, so what if you have been doing that and you're still not getting the results you want to get? Number one, what is the diet that you are doing? Are you doing a gut healing diet? Are you doing an autoimmune diet? Are you doing carnivore? What else is out there? Paleo. There's all kinds of the keto diet. There's all kinds of stuff out there. So the first thing I would look at, if it were me and I was doing it, how many anti-nutrients are you taking in? And so that is going to be high oxalate foods, high lectin foods, and nightshades. Of course, that doesn't apply to carnivore, and then that presents a little different issue. But that's where I would look at next. And are you still including ultra-processed foods? Because I know the keto diet and even some paleo diet, and really some carnivore, I mean, there's a lot of like collagen powders that can be used, a lot of packaged things that can be used. And while it's not necessarily that they are high anti-nutrient, they're still really processed, and it can be very difficult for your gut to digest those and deal with those. And the body could have a negative reaction to basically anything in a package. Not always, especially if it's like properly prepared and it's a low problem food to begin with. So I know it gets confusing. It's confusing. So if you're on one of those diets, it's not working, the next step you could try is, am I doing processed foods still? And am I taking in anti-nutrients, and cut those out and just see where it goes? For those on carnivore or a gut healing protocol or something that's absolutely no sugar, no starch, have you done that for a year and a half, 2 years? Because it may be that you want to start feeding your birth microbes. Mary Ruddock talks a lot about this. You can learn from her podcast. She has tons of podcasts, and they're very informative. We have keystone species, and we have birth microbes, and those are our immune system. So are you feeding those? There's a list of foods in our Facebook group, and we can teach you how to feed those. And you don't necessarily have to start eating a ton of plants. You can feed them very small amounts of these foods because you're not eating them. You're just feeding your tiny livestock, as I call them, your microbes. Your body is a big old farm. You don't eat any of your food. Your microbes eat your food. So we're looking at our bodies like farms, and we want to take care of the terrain. We want to take care of our livestock. So do that as your next step. No processed foods, no anti-nutrients. Maybe add in some things to feed the birth microbes. Now, another common issue that I will mention before we move on is fructose all year round. So a lot of carnivore people will do, animal-based people, I don't want to get in the weeds with the terminology, or even, we'll move out sugar and we'll replace it with honey and fruit, but we're really eating a lot of fruit and honey. And that is a burden on the liver. If you think about it, nature doesn't work that way. There's not berries all year round. The bananas that we eat now don't even actually exist. We made them. Bees do not produce honey all year round. And you would just not be eating these foods all year round. It's not the way the body has adapted to take food in and utilize nutrients. If you balance your microbiome, you will not have the need for sweet. You will not have a desire for sweet. It's good, but you'll kind of not think about it. You'll be like, oh, maybe for Thanksgiving or my birthday, I'll, have some berries with cream or something like that. But you lose the desire for sweet. So that is something we can teach you to do strategically. You lose the desire for pretty much everything but meat and fat and like the things that give you health, like Dominica is saying. Your gut can be craving, your microbes can be craving the food that feeds them. So your human cells that there are 10% of you that can only eat fat and protein, and the starches and sugars feed opportunistic microbes and pathogenic. Now, when I say starch and sugar, that doesn't necessarily mean rice and Coca-Cola. There are things that are too many good foods like green plantain. Yes. Yes. It can beg for green plantain because it needs them, but then we don't get to stay in ketosis. It's a catch-22, isn't it? Oh, I love it. That's why I eat mine when I'm full. I eat mine at the very last when I'm already about to pop. So I can save myself. My husband will eat an entire bag, though. He is not in ketosis. He's happy to eat a bag a day. So, which I think it's probably too high in oxalates to do that, but maybe it's not. I've never looked into it. I know they do have oxalates in them though. So removing the fructose all year round can be helpful, and you can still have sweet while you're moving out of the sweet. You can have stevia extract. You can have monk fruit extract. Just make sure it's the monk fruit or the stevia and the alcohol only. It's not like the glycerin or the processed powders or anything like that. It should be like a tincture. So what if you do all that and you're still not having the health that you desired at the beginning of your healing journey? Now we're going to move into what most people need to add into their healing journey, and that is, we'll lump it under nervous system work. And there's a separate thing. I'll try to touch on it before we're done. But the next step, if you have done the food and now you've even removed the nightshades and you've cut out processed foods and things like that, the oxalates and the high lectin foods, and you're still not where you would like to be, nervous system work is going to carry you really, really far. Really, I guess we could say lifestyle, because there's some things that benefit the nervous system but don't necessarily fall under like nervous system work. So doing things at the same time every day. Mary Rodick talks about how crucial this is. Humans naturally should live in a rhythm, and our modern world really doesn't speak to rhythm at all. Maybe some rigid schedules when we're talking about work and school and soccer and all that stuff that we kind of do as modern humans. But that's not a rhythm. We would naturally wake up at the same time every day. We would naturally be going to sleep at the same time. And there's just certain activities that we would do that would create safety for our bodies if we did not live in the world that we live. So now we kind of have to be vigilant about implementing these things. So you definitely want to wake at the same time. You definitely want to eat at the same time every day. You want to create a sense of safety. You want to be on the ground with bare feet. You want to be under the sun as much as possible. Morning sun is crucial. Midday sun is also crucial. And sunset, also crucial. But if all you could do because of work is get morning sun, then that's great. Get as much as you can. Get outside as often as you can. Your body does not understand being indoors. There are tools. There are so many nervous system tools now, and you can do programs. You can get very inexpensive programs to work on your nervous system. You can look for free resources on YouTube. You can look for somatic and limbic work. You can utilize the tools that we provide at no cost in Ancestral Regeneration Protocol. If you do the protocol, you will be implementing the food and the lifestyle side by side, and you'll go week to week. So you won't have to source many different things. It'll just be laid out for you, and you can do it slowly. And you can always go slower than week by week. But there are lots of things out there. There's the tapping solution. There's Primal Trust, Jules Horn. There's a woman that I really like that I haven't gotten her, Lola Igni, I think. Never said it out loud, but I do love her movement. There's Brooke McPloyle with musical breath work, and these people give you a ton of free information. Yep, Lola Agni. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, but it's Agni, and she does a lot of beautiful movement, which is going to be somatic work. Dancing, you could just learn to dance. You can do that free from YouTube. So one of the useful tools that we've learned is the body scan, and it's incredible. It's truly incredible. You just lie flat on the floor without a pillow and just put your arms out to the side. And you can I have a recording. I have a Christian body scan meditation, and there's lots of free resources. Jon Kabat-Zinn is one. I'm going to check the spelling before I hit enter. Got it. But there's lots. You can just, the mindful movement has a 30-minute one. So that's really going to help you reconnect with your body. When you have experienced a lot of trauma, and that can be childhood trauma, that can be relationship trauma, but it can also just be chronic illness. It can also just be modern life. Your nervous system can be stuck in fight or flight just because you're a modern human. So it's good to try these techniques, even if you think like, oh, I haven't had any trauma. What your nervous system perceives as danger is not necessarily what you perceive as danger. You don't perceive flying or driving as danger, usually, maybe, but usually we don't. We think of that as pretty normal, and our nervous system does not think of that as normal. So it's good to have these tools. And when we're talking about limbic work, somatic is in the body, and limbic is dealing with the mind. So we want to change our thinking, basically. We want to be authentically positive, or at least neutral, because we've talked about this before. If you're not making your feel good hormones, you don't feel good. So it's perfectly normal to have kind of a doom and gloom outlook on life, to get easily frustrated, to be irritable. I mean, being irritable is a sign of your nervous system being dysregulated. As soon as you are irritable, you should go put yourself in timeout, and you should do a body scan meditation. They have them that are 5 minutes long. You can do your own, but in the beginning, I find it's very helpful to do it all. Oh, I started to read. Sorry, I lost my thought because I shouldn't have read. Do we eat eggs all year long? We do. We eat less, certainly, in the winter. Well, my husband doesn't, but he kind of eats eggs for breakfast every day. We definitely eat more when the girls are producing more. We actually don't have a flock right now, but my cousin has a flock. He has a regenerative farm here in Georgia. So that would be my egg source once things really kick up. But I definitely tend to eat more when they're producing more. But like with the dairy, we eat that all year round. So, and our hens will lay here through the winter. So it doesn't get so dark and cold that they won't lay during the winter. I mean, we did pretty well during the winter. There was a time where I was eating like 20 yolks a day, and we couldn't keep up with that, but it's an interesting part of my journey. I've tried a lot of things. So I couldn't keep up at that. Our chickens couldn't keep up at that time, but for the most part, we get enough eggs to eat all year round from local producers here. So the somatic work, when you are, if you're easily irritated, if you're easily frustrated, you can just, you're not doing anything wrong. That's something that is happening physiologically in your body. So you can just take a moment and do a 5-minute body scan. And you can do them anywhere. You don't have to actually lay down on the floor. It's helpful because you're also exhaling your toxins at that time. You've got perfect posture when you're laying on the floor that way. But like if you are in a doctor's office and the sounds are too soundy, or the TV's on and it's just annoying you, or the lights are getting to you, you can just sit and think, like, my feet are on the floor. My bum is in the seat. I can feel the chair on the back, on my back. I can, look at my hands. Just take a moment to connect with your body. Make sure that you're connecting with your breath. We should breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. Sometimes you don't have to, but it is good to kind of let those breaths go out of the mouth when we're doing the deep cleansing breaths. But you want to fill the belly, then fill the lungs, then try to fill the sides and the back. That is a beautiful cleansing breath. You can do 5.5 seconds in through the nose, 5.5 seconds out through the mouth. You can do 4 seconds in through the nose and 6 seconds out through the mouth. You can do a 4-7-8. Inhale 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. And that's all I can think of right now. But those are great. Is if you're paying attention to the breath, you're going to be present and you're going to be able to come back to your body. So watch your thoughts. Be authentically positive or neutral. So just don't be like have the destructive thinking all the time. Like, this is the worst thing ever, or I hate this so much, or why does this happen to only me, or this always happens. Like, those things aren't true, and they keep you in sympathetic because you're constantly bracing for something. You're either reacting or you're bracing, and that's keeping you in sympathetic. So when something irritating happens, when your pocket gets caught on a nail, or you drop something, or you stub your toe, just try to be for a second. Just sit with it just for a second and let it pass. Feel it, let it pass, and don't react. And start training your body. You can stub your toe and be like, oh, that hurts. That really hurts. So that's true. That is neutral and it's true. If you get caught in traffic, you can just take the time to sit in stillness. And if you're late, then you're late. There's nothing you can do about it. It's completely out of your control. So you don't want to move yourself into sympathetic. You actually could take that time to do a body scan. You could take that time to do your deep breathing. You could take that time to think about where you are in your journey. You can take that time to pray. You can meditate. You can visualize. You can take still and slow time as a gift, because hurrying and rushing and meeting deadlines is how a lot of us got here. A nervous system disorder can absolutely be inherited, and I'm sure mine was, but I wasn't doing it any favors by always being a perfectionist and always rushing. Now, it wasn't something I chose to do, so I'm not saying it was my fault. It's not your fault. It's just the way that we learned. And so now we look at things and we understand that it's time to unlearn some things, and then we relearn some things. And have compassion for yourself. Have grace with yourself. You're not going to be able to do this perfectly every single time, especially in the beginning. So you just want to take your time. You want to try to be present as much as possible. Do at least one task in slow motion every day. I hand wash my dishes. So I wash at least part of my dishes in slow motion. And I look at the cup and I express gratitude to God for the cup, for the spoon, whatever it is. I express gratitude for the food that was prepared and consumed with those things. You brush your teeth in slow motion. Anything that actually, if you're a person that brushes like this, slow down anyway. Slow down every time. Slow down with all the things you do. Don't hurry. Don't rush. We have a tendency to make more mistakes when we rush. And it usually takes us longer to do it, whether we're rushing or not, because we usually do make a mistake. So you want to cultivate and curate a mindset that is not destructive. And when, let's say, a headache comes along, don't try to run from it. Just sit with it. You can practice with the small sufferings. So a headache, some headaches can be very bad. So I'm not trying to minimize headaches, but just a regular headache, not a 3-day migraine where you can't see any kind of light. You can have GI distress. I mean, you can use all of these things to be present with your suffering and to sit with your suffering and to think it is not the end of the world. This is not even something I have to avoid. I can sit with it. And if you breathe through the pain, you will find it often is much better than pain medicine or anything else. Going out when we're experiencing pain or sickness, going out, lying on a like a wool or cotton blanket underneath the sun and just breathing and being quiet and being still and allowing your body to be accepted and loved just as it is a beautiful practice. It is healing and it teaches the body that it's safe no matter what the situation is. Because we want the whole goal is to move ourselves out of sympathetic, because when you're in parasympathetic, your body can heal. When you're in sympathetic, your body cannot prioritize healing. It's not um, being silly and attacking itself, or what you hear with autoimmune. That's just not true. It's doing exactly what it was created to do. It's doing exactly what it is supposed to do. So if you are having a headache and it is like the absolute worst thing ever and you cannot believe this is happening to you and it's just terrible, it's such a good time to practice just sitting with it. Just sitting with it and breathing and slowing down and calming down. And you will be surprised how when the body is in safety, the pain isn't as noticeable or even as present, and sometimes it's not present at all. So we want to do the somatic work, and that is the dance, the body scans, and things like that. And what we're doing when we do those is we're moving the trauma out of the body. We store trauma in the body, and we want to move it out of the body. So we want to feel the feelings when they happen. If something happens and it requires grief, then be sad and cry and give yourself space and sit with those feelings. Don't try to avoid them. Don't try to comfort yourself through them. Just be with them and then move them out of the body. If you haven't been able to cry in a long time, that's okay. Sob, fake sob, because your body doesn't know the difference. My son actually experienced this. And the fake sobbing has been incredible for him. But that goes with anger. If you're in fawn and you're a people pleaser and somebody makes you angry and you don't respond properly. Now, of course, I don't mean like you should be mean to people and you should be reactive, not at all. But if a boundary has been crossed and you are in fawn and you're people pleasing and you can't express that, at least start when you get home or when you're able to do something, go outside and shake and like really shake it physically out of your body and say out loud, how you're feeling, express it, stomp the ground. So let your body learn that the emotions you feel are welcome, they're appropriate, and they're good. It's when we overreact, when we become reactive because we're in a fight. I mean, it's still the same issue. It's just another facet of being in sympathetic. If we're constantly argumentative and we're constantly angry and we're always snapping at people, it's really the same issue, but it's being expressed differently. So we want somatic, we want to move these emotions out of our body so that our body knows it's safe, so that it can heal. And the somatic, we want to have the correct mindset. We want to approach things positively, or at least with neutrality, and we want to move towards authentic positivity. We want to have hope. We want to have faith. We want to have love. And if you have experienced trauma in your life, and that goes for, like I said, it doesn't mean childhood trauma or anything like that. It could just be from being ill. You could very well think like, I don't have trust, and somebody better earn trust with me before they get it. Or I don't have hope because look at the world. It's, a big bowl of poop. I get it. And it's not that you're wrong and your thinking is wrong. There's some truth to that. However, to remember who you are, to remember how to be human, you freely give trust. You freely have hope. You freely have faith. You freely look at and for the good in the world. You freely do not give the difficult things your attention. We can't always avoid hearing about the difficult things, but we don't dwell on it. You can pray about it, most certainly, but don't dwell about it. That is also cultivating a very unsafe feeling for your body. So we want to do the somatic. We want to make sure that our thinking is good. We want to make sure our emotions are appropriate. And we do want to have faith, and we do want to have hope. We want to have forgiveness. Forgiveness is huge. Forgiveness is so huge. And we don't have to wait until someone apologizes. And we don't have to wait until someone deserves it. We give it because it's one of the most powerful medicines out there. I do it because Christ forgave me. And I couldn't forgive myself until I forgave those who had harmed me. And not forgiving myself was keeping me stuck. Living in constant shame and guilt was keeping me stuck. So it was one of the most powerful things that I did for myself. But also it allowed me to help other people, because now I don't look at other people with who deserves help and who doesn't deserve help. Or, well, people are generally just rude and hateful and, they're reactive and have different beliefs and this and that. What matters is that I know why they're that way. I know what it feels like to feel really bad and to be reactive. I wasn't a very pleasant person to be around for a very long time. So I can now have great compassion because I have forgiven my family. I have forgiven, other people that harmed me, and I have forgiven myself, which was the hardest part. But forgiveness is extremely important, and letting go of guilt and shame is extremely important. Laughter, peace, joy, presence, awe, gratitude. Those are the spaces you want to live in. You want to be in those spaces the most. Again, we can't be perfect. We have to release perfectionism, but staying present and staying in the moment helps us do that, because we move moment to moment to moment when we do that. We can't fix everything at one time. We have to take slow, gentle, consistent steps. So if you're not seeing the healing you would like to see, there is something deeper that your body is reacting to. Your body and your mind and your spirit are not separate. They are all going to work in harmony, whether that harmony makes you feel good or not. So your body is working in harmony when it's protecting you from a perceived threat. When your immune system is elevated at all times, that is not your body working against you. It sees a threat, a real threat to it. It's perceived to you, and it is staying activated at all times. And so, and understand that, the lifestyle, the nervous system work, that's a whole journey. That's not something you're going to check off your list in a week and be done with. You're going to keep going with that. So it's good to start slow. It's good to pick one thing. If you don't want to do ancestral regeneration protocol, I would definitely go onto YouTube. I would get books. Let me look this up here. Gerald G. Jampolsky does books. Love is Letting Go of Fear. Goodbye to Guilt, I think. There's a lot of them. They're simple. They're quick reads. They're absolutely amazing for starting work when you really need a workbook. There are so many books about or written by saints, like Saint Therese of Lisieux, and I'll put this in the chat. I think I'm missing a U there. I don't think there's an A. I normally don't have this much trouble with spelling, but I today. That looks right. Let me check it though. Oh no, I was way off. Lisieux. Lisieux. There we go. So she has books, The Joy of Suffering and The Story of a Soul. And she talks about the little way and how you can dedicate every moment, and everything is an offering and everything can be made beautiful. So the saints, the desert amas, the desert avas, the ascetics that went into the desert to just pray and fast. I mean, the nervous system work there is primo, I'm telling you. Absolutely amazing. There is there's tons of stuff on YouTube. I'm just kind of bringing up things for people who would prefer like options for books. Well, I've never used this one, but this looks really good. The Complex PTSD Workbook for Women. That looks really good. It's on Audible, which wouldn't be great if you want it in workbook style, but it is, I don't, it just says therapist approved. Let me see if I can see who it's by. I don't know. But there's just lots of books. There was a Christian, I can't remember the name of it, but there was a Christian trauma workbook that I did that was really, really good. And that's what I was looking for. But I didn't see it come up very quickly. But it's good to get a book, a workbook, something you can move through slowly if you're that type of person. If you're more visual or more audible, then you can definitely just do podcasts and you can do YouTube. There's so much help out there available for you at no cost or low cost. And a lot of books, if you really have no budget, and I know what it's like to really have zero budget, Internet Archives is a wonderful source. There's a lot of audio on there. There is a lot of actual physical books you could just read on a device. There is LibriVox for books that are in the public domain. And then there's all the library apps. So you can get audiobooks for free through the library apps. There's Libby is a popular one, and there's something Palace. There's Hoopla. The Palace Project. There's a lot of resources through your local library, and you can get just a library card, and then they'll kind of explain what apps are available. Like Hoopla is a really good one, but I don't get it in my area. The next county over does, but I don't. But I do benefit from Libby and the Palace Project, and then I use LibriVox and Internet Archives. So there's lots of help out there for low budget or no budget. I get it. I mean, that's what I'm here for. I want to make sure that everybody has access to resources regardless of budget. So just look into somatic work. Look into Somatics by Thomas Hanna is also a good book. They work with the Feldenkrais method. So that's another thing you could get from the library that would be available, and maybe on Internet Archives. I'm not sure if anyone's uploaded it to that yet. But yeah, so somatic work, limbic work, forgiveness, laughter, joy, awe, presence, gratitude. That's where it's at, pretty much, if the diet alone is not working. Now, there is another step that you may be missing, and you could be in mucosal failure. So you can very easily use your whatever AI app you use, and you can look up the 5 stages of mucosal failure. And we do have tools for you for that. It's winding up now, so I'm not really going to go into too many details, but we have plenty of free details for you. So if you need additional assistance, if you're a DIY person, you know, the information in just this little hour-long video can be very helpful for you. It can be a good launching point. If you're DIY, but you really don't want to pull from multiple resources, please come to our Facebook group. Ancestral Regeneration Protocol. So what you would do is you would go to featured posts first and just read those in their entirety. Read all the featured posts first. Then you would start in the files, and you can go week to week, or you can go even slower if you need to. And so all of the things that I've talked about today are going to be included in our protocol. They're just tools that we work with. And we are very focused on low and no budget. So that's just a thing that I feel isn't really covered enough. And so I want everyone to have the information. I want everyone to be able to access the information. We do have affordable group coaching. If you feel you would rather have help integrating the information from Ancestral Regeneration Protocol, that is an option. And you can just post in the group, or you can email the Gmail that I just put up there, our exec assistant at gmail.com, and you can inquire about group coaching. Whatever we can do to help you, that's what we're here for. We're here for you. That's whatever capacity you need. If you need a reference to work with someone else, if you want to get started and you don't know how to get started, I mean, we just have baby steps for you. So come on over. We would love to have you. We would love to see you. We would love to support you. We have a beautiful, supportive group. We keep it very kind and supportive. So there's not going to be clickbaity things or things that dysregulate you further. We keep it a very nervous system friendly space. So I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much, Dominica, for being here with me. I just love you and I'm grateful for you. And everyone that watches this today or in the future, I'm very grateful, and please spread the word. The more people we tell, that not everybody has to do the work, but the more people you tell, the more people you share, the more it reaches, and the more that the people that need to do the work can do the work. So, blessings.